2026. As a reminder, if you are joining this meeting via Zoom, you can still make public comment. During any public comment portions, attendees may use the raise your hand feature and will be called upon and unmuted when it is their turn to speak. If joining by phone, use *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. We also have Spanish interpretation services available in person and via Zoom. On-point language solutions is in the back left corner if anyone needs assistance with interpretation services. On-point will now provide information on how to receive interpretation services if you are in need of them. So could we hear from our translation servers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff, members of the public. Victor Hernandez, Spanish interpreter. Muy buenas noches. Les queremos dejar saber a todos de ustedes hoy que va a haber traducción en español por Zoom y tanto en persona. Para poder acceder a los servicios de traducción en Zoom, usted tendrá que hacer clic en lo que es un icono de un globo, es decir, un mundo terráqueo que aparecerá al fondo de su pantalla y después seleccione su español. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Gracias and thank you. Could we now have a roll call of the council, please?
Yes. Councilmember Negengest?
Here.
Councilmember Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Brownstone?
Here.
Vice Mayor Penrose?
Here.
And Mayor Ruddick?
Here.
All council members are present this evening.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're moving on to item 3, which is proclamations and presentations. There are no proclamations this evening. We do welcome John Hutar with the San Francisco Peninsula Tourism Marketing District for a presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will ask for any comments from council and the public.
Good evening, Mayor Ruddick, Vice Mayor Penrose, members of council, City Manager Chittister, and all staff of Half Moon Bay. I'm John Hutar, President and CEO of the San Mateo County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Joining me at the podium this evening to present our strategic plan to you are a number of our board members and advisory council members. Kevin Kretsch, our board chair, Hyatt Regency SFO. Nova Maldonado.
Recording in progress.
Our chief advocacy officer. Blanca Rivera, general manager of the Half Moon Bay Lodge. Crystalline Geet, who serves on our advisory council as CEO of Visit Coastside and the Coastside Chamber. Cameron Palmer, I think you know him quite well, from Cameron's Pub and a number of other investments in Half Moon Bay Pumpkin Festival. And Matthew Revere, general manager of the Ritz-Carlton Half Moon Bay, who serves on our advisory council. So just a little recap. We were very honored to bring to Half Moon Bay and the Ritz-Carlton the Michelin reveal of Michelin restaurants for California. You see a number of our board members here and staff. As far as engagements and our social media, our recent campaigns have attracted 186,000 viewers on Instagram, 5,500 interactions, 2,000 shares. An interaction is when someone likes or loves or puts those emojis behind it. Getting behind the Pumpkin Festival, things to do in downtown Half Moon Bay, local features and highlighting various businesses like Half Moon Bay Brewing. A number of print media placements featuring the chef at the Ritz-Carlton in Forbes magazine, Silicon Valley magazine, Things to Do in San Mateo County, a big national story that was assistance of the Historical Society going back to the Artichoke Wars in the late 1800s, early 1900s that were prevalent here on Coast Side. We do our best to reinvest in the community, supporting the Coastal Repertory Theater, the Pumpkin Festival, and other events throughout the year. Our board of directors, we have representation from each of the 14 cities that are, and our advisory council, which was stood up just about a year ago. Strategic plan, which we're here to share with you tonight. The first pillar is support destination asset development, and that breaks down to 3 pillars. Advocating for some level improvement to the San Mateo County Event Center. Look throughout the county for an appropriate venue that could carry tournament-grade sports or music. We feel that would be key to enhancing weekend business. And to do that, to develop a tourism master plan, so each of our cities, as you decide to make investments, would have some a North Star and some options on how to further invest in tourism for the future. Our second pillar, endeavor to maximize the destination experience. We are leaning into bringing destination and world-class events around food and beverage, and we're looking at a number of sites. One of them will be Coast Side, which I'll share with you in a moment. We feel there is an opportunity to do some work on the Bay Trail. There are pockets of that that are incomplete or in disrepair, and we feel we can help amplify all that our communities have to offer to the visitors, especially in the nightlife sector. The third pillar is just to make our organization stronger, working with our advisory council to be our ambassadors in the community and to continue to educate and share with the community all that we do to promote tourism and its impact on jobs and the overall community. We have a seminar coming up on the 18th of February for FIFA preparedness. We felt we had to get Super Bowl behind us and then focus in on the 6 events. And we encourage all members of the community to come. There'll be a talk on human trafficking and a refresher training. The police and fire will do a segment on public safety. We'll do a high-level training for shopkeepers, restaurateurs, et cetera, on how to improve their service and get ready for this influx of visitors. No charge for that event. We have our annual tourism luncheon where we will launch our annual report and produced to the community the economic impact of tourism and the number of jobs it affects. That will be on March 19th. and the sign-up information is there. We have some expert speakers coming to talk about the future of groups and conventions and where the hospitality industry is headed. And then back to the big events. Heritage Fire at Coyote Point on July 26th. This is a food-centric event with celebrity chefs, and the idea is to draw visitors into our community. Whiskeys of the World, we're that close to announcing a venue that'll be Coastside, and that is a high-end whiskey tasting and food, again, organized in a way to bring folks into our community. And then bookending that in April 23rd through May 3rd of this year, and then repeating and starting to own the last 2 weeks of January, a countywide restaurant festival. Think of a restaurant week that goes countywide that will celebrate, and the goal there is to bring visitors into the community, to get locals into the community, to get locals from neighboring communities to share and go back and forth, to celebrate the tastes and the chefs and the culinary delights that our region has to offer. In addition to promoting tourism and booking conventions, our organization markets the county's As Fresh as It Gets program, the Farm to Table program. Obviously, the farms are mostly coastside here, connecting them to the restaurants. And I'll also add that we serve as the liaison for the Film Commission, and we are, congratulations to all involved on city staff who recently landed some very good news in that arena and work hard to attract extra commerce in that fashion. So with that, we wanted to be mindful of the time allotted, but the experts are behind me if you have any questions in their specific businesses or sectors, and we appreciate your support and the community of Half Moon Bay at large, supporting tourism in such a big way, and we appreciate the opportunity this evening.
Thank you so much. It looks like a plan that's worthy of the area, you know. I haven't seen anything like that for all the time I've been on the council, so congratulations. Are there questions or comments from council members? Paul?
Thank you, and it's great. Thank you for coming here and sharing what you do. I have a question. How do you decide if you go to the coast or on the bay? Is that dependent on what the event is and what they're looking for? Or is that something that you, or so do we politic you if we want something here, or is it more whoever?
So in the advisory council meeting, City Manager Chittister encouraged us to be balanced. And that's how we got to having one event coastside, one event bayside. When we are pitching clients, groups, conventions, we ask what the client prefers. Some wish to be in a resort setting, so the Ritz-Carlton becomes a natural referral. Some want to be no further than 10 minutes from SFO, and we play to the customer's needs. I will say this, we never only offer just one option. We always offer an array and let the client pick.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, this may be really off the wall, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm wondering if you have thought about the coast being populated largely by farmers and fishermen, and if there would be some sort of an event that would involve them. I know we haven't done a whole lot as a city to promote that part of our history and that part of our economy, but it's important here. So Just curious.
Yes, and that is through our As Fresh as It Gets program. And we just had an event 2 weeks ago. We brought in the farmers from the coast, the restaurateurs for an all-day workshop. And city clerk was with us. And we do that annually. And we feel with these events, the 4 signature events, there's even more of an opportunity.
On the Richter scale of having events there, and maybe having some foods and things down there, because we have the whole court on the left side there could have some kind of food prepping.
Yes, congratulations for redoing the park and renovating it to its high level now. I know the city manager's office is, there is some conversation perhaps to have a FIFA viewing party, and with the capacity being less than 1,000, it requires no special license. So in that 600 range, it can be organized as long as the TV has a valid subscription to Comcast or whatever. It doesn't break any rules, so there definitely is potential there. We agree, and I was fortunate enough to attend the ribbon cutting, and we have it in our on our website, and certainly show it to prospective clients when we bring them through.
Councilmember Brownstone? No, okay. I just want to say that I really appreciate that you touched on the Bay Ridge Trail. I think it's important to have a outdoor recreational component in your plan. We have a lot of beautiful open spaces and trails. The county manages a lot of properties. Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District, there's plans for future trails. We have the Coastal Trail. So I'd like to just keep that on your radar to talk about, outdoor recreation. A lot of people come here just for that purpose. So when you're talking about the coast, outdoor recreation needs to be a pillar, I think, of your planning.
And no one wants to relive COVID. There was a silver lining for us. When we couldn't talk, people weren't meeting, having conventions and groups. That's really when we started talking about our nature component. And it was this bolt of lightning, like, oh my gosh, people like hearing about that. So we kept that after COVID. I'll also point out that we handed out a hard copy. This was just released from Forbes, the travel business rating agency, features the Ritz-Carlton as one of the best properties in the Bay Area, and the article leans towards not all the action for Super Bowl is only in San Francisco and in South Bay. So congratulations to Matthew and his team.
We appreciate them. Thank you. And we appreciate you. Thanks for all the good works.
Crystal and Kosai Chamber, if it's okay if I could go back to Paul's comment. And I just wanted to give a big kudos to the SFP and their staff, because John's being very, very gracious and making it sound like we twist their arm or ear to get them to do things here, and it's not. Their staff, Maggie, Nova, Carol, the whole team, they're on the coast side all the time. They're popping in. They're meeting us for lunch. They're getting a pulse for what's happening. They come to our round table once a month. So they are super engaged in the coast side, and they look out for us without us having to beg and scratch like it has been in the past. So we just really appreciate the SFP.
We love San Mateo County. Thanks for promoting it. Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right. We're moving on to item 4, which is the mayor's announcements of community activities and community service. I don't have anything specifically to report, but if other council members do, we can entertain that, or if staff does. I think we're just starting to get into the whole event season and all that stuff. But anybody have anything? Seems not. Okay. So we'll move to item 5, which is report out from recent closed session meetings. Council, would you like to report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening, the council met in closed session on 2 items, and there's no reportable action from the closed session.
Thank you very much for that. We're moving on to item 6, city manager updates to council.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had one item listed on the agenda, which you will receive from Todd Seeley, our interim public works director. But throughout the weekend and today, we've identified several other items we wanted to provide updates on. So there will be several updates tonight, but we'll start with Todd.
Thank you, Matthew, and good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and council members. Todd Seeley, Interim Public Works Director. I am here with you this evening to just kind of encapsulate an interesting and kind of cool pilot program that's going on in town right now. It is... It is a pilot run by DoorDash. Some of you all are familiar with DoorDash. It's a home delivery service. They bring you food and sundries and good stuff like that. What the name of the pilot is called Dash Loop. And what it is, it's a reusable container pilot program. It's a 3-month pilot that started on February 1st. There was kind of a soft launch a couple days before that. It's available in select restaurants in Half Moon Bay and also throughout the coastside. Some of the restaurants that you guys probably have frequented, India Beach, the Cantina at San Benito House Deli, Mavericks Creperie. So there's a wide selection of restaurants that are participating in this program, and it's pretty interesting that they got that much support from the local community. There is no additional cost to customers, and it's a unique approach to reducing waste generated by the delivery services. If you guys have ever participated or partaked in delivery before, they obviously deliver napkins and all of that stuff, along with packaging that you're just going to end up throwing away. This pilot is aimed to kind of get around that. So what it is customers receive their food in reusable containers. This is from the press release / soft launch that was about 10 days ago. Some food from the Cantina at San Benito House. The mayor and vice mayor there and saw firsthand what exactly it is that's going on. Customers enjoy their food, they wash the containers out, and then they can return the packaging to restaurants that are participating. It's basically a 32-gallon trash can with a wide opening so that you can just kind of slide the stuff right in there. And the containers are collected and cleaned by a third party called Dispatched Goods. They're in the East Bay. Think of like a large industrial laundry operation except for foodware. So it's just a big processing plant that takes these containers in, washes them, and returns them back to the restaurant so they can get them back out for the next round. Some of the benefits of the pilot are it addresses the environmental impact of single-use packaging. Reusable containers can reduce CO2 emissions by over 60% and reduce waste by up to 98%. And it's designed to give businesses and customers access to more sustainable alternatives. There's really not a huge impact to the city. We met with them early on in the process. We were trying to see if there would be any, like where they were going to place the containers. Are they going to put them in our right of way? Are they going to put them outside? Like, are pests going to be getting into this? But all of the restaurants that are participating have willingly agreed to keep them inside their facilities, so there's really no impact to the city. Minimal staff time was spent on this, and we think it's actually a pretty interesting project. It's a unique, one-of-a-kind thing, and we're kind of getting in on the ground floor, and we just wanted to bring this to all of you this evening and kind of give you a heads up, and with that, I'll turn it over to the council if there's any questions about it.
Council members?
Todd, I think I saw one on Main Street outside. Are they supposed to be inside or outside?
They are supposed to be inside. Do you remember where you saw it?
I just glanced on it over the weekend. I thought I saw it right away, and it was on Main Street, if I remember right. So I'll report back to you.
Well, I'll cruise down Main Street tomorrow and take a look too, because they are supposed to be all housed inside the actual restaurants. That was part of the agreement, that we didn't want it encroaching on any of our right-of-way, so that was part of it. We'll do some further
I
investigating.
think it was over by Sia, if I'm not mistaken, in that area.
I'll just add, it's pretty exciting. This is a pilot that's just not like, this is the coastside pilot. This is the pilot. Like, they are trying this for the first time in this country here in Half Moon Bay, and they chose Half Moon Bay for a variety of reasons. But one of them that they cited was they believe that our community, this is something that is of value to us, that we care about the environment, we're looking for ways to do better, and that we'd embrace it. So we're really excited about it. And beyond the bins that are being placed in the businesses that are participating, they're also looking for other locations. I think eventually there'll be one in the library, post offices, those types of places. They want to make it as convenient as possible for people to be able to drop these off at their convenience and take advantage of it. And we hope people, give it a try. What's the harm, right?
Maybe there's still a possibility we become a hotbed of innovation. That would be good. Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you. You guys have a nice day.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd. Okay, we have several more on that same slideshow. Sorry. So I think the next one is, it is Leslie, if you could come up and talk about the housing element. Very exciting update here.
We received a letter from HCD after their 60-day review, and they have found that the housing element that you adopted in November is, it meets the statutory requirements of the state housing element law. So that is, however, they also found that because of the time lapse between when it was supposed to be adopted and when it finally was or certified, and finally they did approve it, they are finding that we are still not in some substantial conformance until we complete zoning updates, so that we can show that we can meet our RENA numbers. So the way I see that, it's kind of like a conditional certification. So we're going to certify you, but first you have to do this thing. And looking at the zoning requirements, we've really laid them out already in our certified LUP, our land use plan. So it's really a matter of putting that into the code. That was anticipated as part of the implementation plan update, but we have now pulled that out and we're starting on it right away. So we will make that the first LCP amendment for the implementation plan update and start work right away.
And specifically, we would start work right away on
the zoning updates. And we will probably include the Measure D code amendments that are in the housing element as well. They're relatively easy to do too. And it shows HCD that we're trying to move forward.
I think the public will like to hear about that. Yeah. Good news. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Leslie.
Councilmember Brownstone has a question.
We've got some questions, Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie, just a quick question. How long do you anticipate that would take to get all the ordinances up to speed?
I think the work can be done in a couple of months.
Okay, the next item, and you can go to the next slide, is around automated license plate readers. This is a topic that has really gotten a lot of attention recently, and we just thought it'd be worthy of sharing some updates with the community. So automated license plate readers, just by background, are cameras that are placed strategically throughout a community, and they capture just the license plates of vehicles that pass by. Council approved a pilot program in Half Moon Bay that in late 2024. And it consists of 16 of these units at 7 intersections here in Half Moon Bay. And like many things, it took some time to deploy those. So they were deployed throughout 2025, and full deployment happened in late 2025. The sheriff administers this program for us. They have access to the data and the policies surrounding it and enforce those policies. And one of the things that Flock, the vendor, will be providing now that they're up and running is a transparency portal with certain information for the community. With the current things happening in our country right now, there's a lot of concern about surveillance and data and tracking. And so a lot of questions have come up. A lot of communities are questioning the use of this. And it's something that's on our radar. So we just wanted to let the community know we're aware of those concerns, and we've taken steps to start addressing those concerns. The sheriff's office had a meeting with Flock, the vendor, who also provides cameras for the sheriff's office and many of the cities within the county, to ask a lot of questions about the concerns we're hearing, both in California and outside of the state. And I had a meeting with our undersheriff and assistant sheriff yesterday about this, and we're going to be doing a follow-up meeting that will include some of our elected officials, some of the county supervisors, and attorneys, to really make sure we understand all the risks and all the steps being taken to mitigate those risks. And I expect that following that meeting, we'll be working with council to schedule a session here to talk through the issue and determine if this continues to be the right thing for our community, or if it's something we want to change directions on. So, we have heard the concerns loud and clear. We express the same concerns, and, we're reading the articles and hearing about it. And we're taking proactive steps right now to ensure that the community's information is protected. And ultimately, if this is not the right fit for the community, it's something that we can change. So wanted to make sure people are aware of that.
Thank you for that. I think that's a very timely report.
Yeah, thank you. Our next update, this is kind of exciting news, and it was alluded to in the first item tonight. Many people may have seen recently some social media about a new job opportunity coming up, which is to be extras in a movie that's going to be filmed in Half Moon Bay. Starting in the middle of February, there is a feature film that is going to be filmed here on the coast, and it's pretty exciting. It will actually take place in Half Moon Bay. It's part of the plot, which is kind of cool. And it'll be a great opportunity for us to showcase our community to the world, and maybe bring some additional opportunities for tourism and a new industry in our community. So city staff has been working very hard. The county is also involved because some of the filming will take place in the unincorporated community. They're going to be supporting local businesses, our hotels, our restaurants, and some of our vendors here in Half Moon Bay. There will be some impacts, so we want to make sure people know about that. And the filming company, the production company, is doing direct outreach to impacted businesses. Some of the filming will take place on Main Street and around Main Street, and then on some of the coastal areas of Half Moon Bay. And so we're working really hard to get this right, make sure it's a positive for the community and a benefit for the community, but also show that we're a community that can handle this type of endeavor and maybe bring more of these opportunities in the future. So please, if concerns arise, please let us know. If you're interested in being in a movie, let us know. We can get you connected with the production company, as they want to hire locals to be extras, so it's really authentic, which is pretty cool. And at some point we'll get more information about when and how to watch it, and you'll get to see our beautiful downtown featured in a major film. So
It's a
very
vampire
exciting.
movie, right?
A vampire
no,
movie?
just kidding.
Not that I'm aware of, no. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to talk about the specifics. At some point, they'll release it, but I'm sure that the name they're using with us is totally made up and top secret and all that. But I can say it's a very exciting cast, and we're really excited to see it move forward. So thanks to the team. This is a new thing for us, so we're managing it. Thank goodness we updated our fee schedule last year, and we're going to get a little extra revenue through that. And more than anything, we're excited because it really should be a big boon to some of our local businesses and our hotels and those midweek rentals that we've been pursuing all these years. Those hotels, some of our hotels are going to be packed during the midweek. So very, very exciting. I think my last item tonight, or maybe I have two more. Okay, last item is just an update on our listening sessions. As folks know, we're already preparing for our next fiscal year budget. We had a couple of listening sessions over the last week, and we just want to let people know, those who were unable to attend the listening sessions, we still want your feedback on what's important to you, what you think the city should be focusing on. So if you just go to our website, it's in the top banner, you can click on it, and we have an online feedback form. We'll be collecting responses through March 10th. And then on March 14th, which is a Saturday, we have our priority setting workshop, which is where the city council sits together and works together to identify what our priorities are going to be for the year and the foreseeable future, and there will be opportunity to provide feedback then. So please go to our website, provide some of that feedback, and participate. It's important we hear from all parts of our community. Thank you.
Yes, I meant to do this previously, but now I would entertain public comment on item 3, which was the presentation from the chamber-related organization, and then the city manager updates to council. So if anyone in the room would like to comment about those items, or anyone online, you can raise your hand online, and we'll take your comments. Come to the podium, if you do. Yeah, we do have to have a timer on it. And then fill out a form, maybe.
I didn't realize that the ALPR issue was going to be discussed. I thought it wasn't on the agenda, but as long as we're here, I have a lot to say about it. I'd like to start with a quote from the American Civil Liberties Union lawyer. Quote, it's talking about the automated license plate readers. They're a mass surveillance dragnet system that captures information from anyone who goes by them, regardless of whether they are accused of any crime. Once that data is collected, it's really hard to control. As you probably know from the news, the Mountain View City Council has decided that they are going to disable their flock cameras, a system essentially the same as what Half Moon Bay has in its pilot program. This is a quote from the chief of police of Mountain View. I personally no longer have confidence in this particular vendor. He's talking about Flock. I was deeply disappointed to learn that Flock Safety did not meet the city's requirements regarding our data access control and transparency. Despite repeated assurances of strict protocols and privacy safeguards, the Mountain View Police Department disclosed this week that it had inadvertently violated its own policies and allowed hundreds of unauthorized law enforcement agencies to search information captured by the city's license plate readers for more than a year. when I was on the council, we saw the presentations about the pilot program. We were assured that the data would be kept available only to the allowed law enforcement agencies. That was not what happened in Mountain View. And Mountain View is not an exception, I don't think. So I urge the council to consider not enabling these devices, which can have potential real privacy invasion questions, particularly regarding to immigration enforcement, which I'm very worried about. Thank you.
Excuse me, Harvey, could you
Yeah.
fill out a form and
I
identify?
did. I already filled out
Oh,
a
okay.
form. I didn't know that.
But you filled it out for public forum.
Yes.
So could you, we'll change it to item 6. We'll do that here.
Okay, thank
Don't
you.
worry about it. Okay. Anyone else who would like to address the presentation or the city manager updates to council? I do see one hand raised.
Yes, we have Carolina. Go ahead and unmute. There you go. Go ahead.
You can go now, Carolina.
Adelante, Carolina.
Hola, buenas noches.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Welcome.
Bienvenida.
Lamentablemente no me siento muy bien de salud, así que no pude asistir presencialmente, pero
Unfortunately, I don't
a
feel very
través
well,
de Zoom
but I
me
couldn't come in
encuentro
person.
presente.
But through this platform, I am present.
Y quiero abordar mi apoyo hacia la construcción de viviendas, por favor.
So I want to really talk about my support for public housing, please.
That's not the agenda we're
Hablemos
discussing at the moment.
Carolina,
Hablemos un poco
no es el
acerca de
punto del orden del
todo
día
lo
que
que se ha
estamos
venido
abordando.
hablando semanas atrás acerca del
Yeah.
control de la renta.
She'll have to wait till public forum.
He's got to talk to him.
Carolina, ese es el punto del orden del día que ahorita no estamos abordando.
Okay.
Yeah, she can bring it up at public forum.
Yeah, well, we're going to.
Oye, tendrás la oportunidad de hacer tus puntos, tus comentarios, un poquito después cuando lleguemos a ese punto del orden del día,
Yes, the very next item.
que es el próximo punto a propósito.
I think next meeting. we
Ok,
need-
está bien.
Thank you. Gracias, Carolina. I think for the
Ok,
next
está bien,
meeting,
gracias.
we need to have, tweak the process, maybe say at the beginning of the meeting that you'll be able to comment on each of these things and not have to wait till public forum. But, yeah, if you can help me with that for the next meeting, that would be
Yeah, I'll
great.
report that back to the clerk, for sure.
Okay. Great. So now we're moving on to public forum. Item 7. And I think we will, we already did that. Yeah. Yeah. So why don't we start with Carolina? Sorry.
You're back on, Victor.
Yes, yes, that's right, yeah. Right. Need to call out the yeah, right, yeah.
¿Me pueden escuchar?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about
Sí.
that, Carolina.
Disculpa, Carolina.
Start over.
No hay problema.
No worries.
Go ahead.
Adelante.
Ok. Como ustedes saben, nuestra población actualmente está sufriendo mucho de acoso
So as you know, our community is
Hablando
really suffering from a lot
en
of
todo el
harassment
aspecto del país.
with all of everything that's going on in the country.
Y es lamentable que aunque vemos esa situación y a través de todas esas cosas que se pueden ver por las noticias,
And unfortunately, everything that we're seeing on the news
y cómo realmente vive la gente y mucha gente se puede dar cuenta de cómo se vive aquí, cómo vivimos nosotros los latinos.
and how people are actually living and how people here in Half Moon Bay are actually living.
Y de cuánto ayudamos a este país, no solo con nuestra mano de obra, sino que también en impuestos.
And to see how we really help this country, not just with our labor, but with our taxes.
Es triste ver que aún existen personas que piensan que no somos dignos de tener un hogar accesible a nuestras posibilidades de pago.
And it's really sad to think that there's some people that we shouldn't have like dignified housing in regards to our situation.
Y me entristece que hagan comentarios a veces como que la renta aquí en nuestro pueblo no es cara.
And it really makes me sad to hear other people saying that rent here isn't really expensive.
Quisiera que realmente una de las personas que viva en el pueblo y pague la renta como la pagamos nosotros, salga y diga, sí, yo sé que no es caro.
I would really like to see some people that are making these comments to go out there and kind of live it and then finally be able to say either yes, it's expensive or it's not expensive.
Nosotros pagamos rentas de 4,500 en este pueblo cuando tenemos acceso a un baño nada más y a una cocina donde viven, ¿qué? 8 personas.
So we're paying $4,500 in this town for rent, and we only have access to one bathroom and a kitchen, and there might be like 8 people living in the house.
Incluso hay personas que son mayores de edad, que todavía trabajan en la agricultura y viven hacinadas también.
And as a matter of fact, including older people that are working agriculture that are in this situation as well.
Es triste que la comunidad no quiera darle un hogar digno a todas esas personas ancianas que trabajan en la agricultura.
It's sad that this community doesn't want to provide housing for these older ag workers.
Y que pongan tantos pretextos para construir un lugar digno para ellos.
And to have all of these excuses to build dignified housing for them, not to build
Cuando
housing for them.
aquí en el pueblo de Moss Beach están construyendo muchos apartamentos para la venta.
Where here in Moss Beach, they're building a lot of apartments.
Si gustan pueden irlos a visitar, están por el lado del aeropuerto, por donde están las trailas.
If you want, you can go visit them. They're over on the side where the trailer park is, on the side of the airport.
Todos esos apartamentos van a ser para venta,
And these apartments are for sale.
pero ahí se puede ver específicamente el poder que tiene el dinero.
But you can really see the power that money really has in that situation.
Si nosotros fuéramos personas legales pidiendo que construyeran los apartamentos de la 55 Kelly, hace mucho tiempo lo hubieran hecho.
If we were legal people asking for 555 Kelly to be built, then it probably would have been done a long time ago.
Si tuviéramos dinero también, hace mucho tiempo hubiéramos movido nuestra influencia para hacerlo también.
And if we had money, we can also influence to get it done as well.
Perdonen si mis palabras son muy fuertes hacia ustedes.
Sorry if my words are too harsh for you.
Pero me indigna que muchos digan amamos a los latinos y esa es la forma más correcta de darnos su amor.
So if there's people saying that we love Latinos, then that would be the best way to show us your love.
Demostrándonos con hechos,
With acts,
construyendo lugares accesibles, teniendo un mejor control de la renta,
better rent control and accessible housing,
controlando la renta para que no se eleve el precio. Conforme se eleve el mercado, eleven el precio también.
Rent control, so when the market goes up, not really have rents go up as well?
Esas son mis humildes palabras y muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Those are my humble remarks. Thank you very much for your time.
Gracias, Carolina. Is there anyone else online who would like to address the council on public forum? You can raise your hand now.
I see none.
Okay, then. So we'll move back to folks in the room, and we'll start with Rocio Avila Garcia.
Rocio is going to provide her comment, and after she's finished, I'll provide you with a site translation.
Buenas noches, miembros del concilio y personas aquí presentes. Mi nombre es Rocío Ávila y soy un líder comunitario aquí en Half Moon Bay. Vengo hoy a abogar por todas las personas que buscan un lugar digno para vivir, especialmente para los trabajadores esenciales y campesinos que merecen un hogar seguro y asequible. Es urgente que se llegue a un acuerdo sobre el proyecto de 555 Kelly, que brindará un hogar digno a familias trabajadoras. No podemos permitir que se demore o que se bloquee este proyecto. No es justo que personas que no necesitan una casa para vivir decidan por aquellas que sí lo necesitan. Esto es inhumano, que siempre quieran ver a las personas de bajos ingresos en este estatus. También quiero enfatizar que seguiremos luchando por el control de renta. Es injusto que las personas trabajen doble turno para pagar su renta y que ahora quieran eliminar el control de renta para poder aumentarles más porque no alcanzan los dueños a pagar el seguro o el mantenimiento de la propiedad, así como lo mencionaron en la reunión pasada. Les pido a los miembros del concilio que consideren su decisión anterior. No todos tenemos la misma oportunidad de tener una vivienda propia como las personas que estuvieron aquí abogando para quitar el control de renta. Muchas gracias.
Good evening, members of the council and all people present here. My name is Rocio Avila, and I'm a community leader. I am here today to advocate for all of those people that are looking for a dignified place to live, especially the essential workers and the farm workers that deserve a safe and accessible home. It's urgent that you reach an agreement in regards to project of 555 Kelly and provide a home, a dignified home to the families, the working families. We can't permit any more delays or any blocks of this project. It's just not just for people, it isn't just for people that need a place to live for other people to decide for them if they need it or not. This is inhumane to always look at people from lower incomes and see them in this status that they're in. I also want to emphasize that we will keep fighting for rent control. It is unjust that people work overtime or double turns, 2 turns, to pay for their rent, and now you want to eliminate rent control so that way the rents can go up and the owners can increase, because the owners don't have insurance. or able to maintain their property. So I'm asking members of this council to reconsider your previous decision. So some of us don't have the same opportunities to have our own house. Thank you for listening.
Gracias, Rocio. The next speaker is Joaquin Jimenez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, city staff, members of the public. My name is Joaquin Jimenez. If you get a chance, please take a look at this magazine. It was placed on with you. Vice Mayor, thank you for the comment. You know, earlier when about the presentation where it was done about let's not forget about our heritage of the coast, you know, farming and ranching. I know it was talked about, you know, the farmers were invited to the event, but not the farm workers. You know, that's one of the things that we forget about, who's actually doing the work. You know, the farmers do own the land, and they do some of the work, but without the farm workers, it would not happen. One of the best things that City of Half Moon Bay has actually done, it was the Economic Recovery Initiative, that it was approved by City Council a few years back. That in relation to economic mobility. That's why this magazine gives you an idea about what economic mobility is. I don't know if you know that you don't need to have a social security to run a business. You can run a business with an ITIN number. All you have to do is pay your taxes. To work legally in the United States, you have to have a social security number or ITIN number. But a lot of the employers, they don't want an ITIN number. They want a social security. So part of the economic mobility, Job Train, is one of the organizations that focus on that, economic mobility, and you have it here in Half Moon Bay. I had the opportunity to work with them for a while, and I learned about what they do. And we need it. Vocational training, that is a major step into economic mobility. We also have the Renaissance Center to provide education for community members to learn how to run a business. I don't know if you did any research about what I spoke last time about, or the agricultural industry of San Mateo County. But it's happening. We are losing our farmland. I'm not against open space. I hike almost every day. I will go on trails almost every day, either my bike, on foot, or my horse. Every trail on the coast, I probably walked it at least once. I don't think we need more open space. We need to make sure that we use the land to farm and to ranch. That's what feeds the people. How many more miles do you need of open space to enjoy the coast? Not that many. There's one more organization in Half Moon Bay that focuses on economic mobility, and that's Rancho San Benito. Rancho San Benito is in the process to partner up with the Renaissance Center for them to provide education and training for farm workers to become farmers. That's what I mentioned last time. San Mateo County, the coastside, we are the largest farming community in the Bay Area. If we lose it, there's no way we're going to get it back. But to make sure that we keep it, we have to give the opportunity to new ranchers and to new farmers and continue to support our present farmers, because many of them are going out of business. Farmer John just sold his property not too long ago. How many more farmers or ranchers are going to be losing their property? I don't want to see Half Moon Bay without farming and ranching, because that is our heritage. And we have to take care of that. And to do that, we need our essential workers. We need our farm workers to be present and to have dignified housing, something that we're not doing. And congratulations for getting the housing element approved. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Joaquin. Lisette Solis from Renaissance Center. Don't forget to set the timer. Yeah.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members and city staff. Thank you for your time and for the opportunity to be here this evening. My name is Lisette Solis, and I am the program manager for the San Mateo County Coastside Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. I'm very pleased to share that our services continue to thrive here on the coast. We have partnered with Coastside Hope and are now proudly operating from their location alongside the Job Train team. This partnership has been incredibly meaningful, and we are excited about the many positive opportunities it will bring for our community moving forward. I invite you to review our flyer for our upcoming open house event. We would be honored for you to join us and help us share this special occasion with the community. I also want to share that we have just released the first edition of the Coastside Thrive magazine, which you guys have in your hands. Thank you. This publication highlights the work being done throughout our community and celebrates the incredible entrepreneurs and small businesses that make the Coastside so special. It is truly an honor to see familiar faces featured, our neighbors, friends, and families reflected in these pages. Additionally, one of our featured client stories will be celebrating a very special milestone this coming month. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, Bay Area Orchids, one of our longtime Renaissance clients, will be marking their 5-year anniversary. We invite you to come learn more about their inspiring journey and help us celebrate this exciting achievement. This celebration will include music, food, raffle, and special discounts, and it promises to be a wonderful event. We hope to see you there. Thank you again for your time and continued support. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Lisette.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Barry Hathaway.
Up with the microphone. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and staff. My name's Barry Hathaway, and I'm the CEO at Job Train. So I want to echo what Lisette said about we're here, we're going to stay for a while longer. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, and really just reinforce our commitment to this community. It would have been very easy for Job Train and Renaissance to just say, oh, no more money, okay, we're out. We got to go do other things. But we came here with the intention to help this community, and we intend to stay for as long as we are delivering on good service and as long as we can continue to receive funding to do it. I am very happy to tell you that we've received funding to stay here for another 18 months, and that is a lot of runway to continue to deliver on our promise and secure other funding to be able to stay as long as we can deliver on our promise. You helped with that by allowing us to stay here a little bit longer while we were navigating the shift from the OCC to Coastside Hope. You helped by allowing us to take some of the equipment that we got when we started here to continue to use it in the new facility, so thank you for that. It actually turns out that Coastside Hope is an ideal location for us because the men and women that are served by Coastside Hope are the men and women we want to serve as well. So Renaissance and Job Train being in that building means that somebody coming to Coastside Hope for the many amazing things they do for the community are instantly in our place as well. And we can continue to serve them in these other ways. It breaks my heart to hear people say we can't afford rent here. We have 8 people living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment because that's all we can afford. And I don't want to be glib about it, but the reality is that if they made enough money, they could afford that. And so we have to be thinking about how to make investments in people's earning power. These are men and women who want to earn their way out of poverty. They want their own agency. They want to be able to do this for themselves and have the dignity of housing and the dignity of work. We have to continue to invest in those kinds of opportunities here as well. So we're so happy that we can stay, and we're so grateful for the support you've offered to get us situated here and help us make this transition. Thank you for that. please come to our open house. If you haven't been to Coastside Hope, you must come to the open house because they have built such a beautiful place, very warm and welcoming. And our team tells us that now that we're there, it's really starting to pick up. The enrollments and the people knowing we're there is starting to pick up. We had a little bit of a slump in November and December and January as we were repositioning, and the newspaper said we had left, and so there was a lot of miscommunications going on. But we're here and things are picking up. So thank you very much for your support. Looking forward to continuing to keep you updated on how things are going.
Thank you so much for the report. Appreciate it, Barry. Do we need to take public comment on public comment? No, I'm joking. Okay. That appears to be it for public comment. So, sorry? We just did public forum. Yeah. So we're moving on to item 8, which is the consent calendar. Does any council member wish to pull any consent item? Paul?
Yes, 8E, that's the old meetings,
Right.
and 8F.
8E. Okay. All right, so could we have a motion to approve the consent calendar minus items 8E and 8F? Yes. For all consent items. So take that now? Okay. So we need a new script next meeting. Explanations of all of these subjects and new instructions, please. Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on items 8, which is consent calendar? So usually when we say you can comment at public forum, it can be on consent items and items not on the regular agenda, correct?
Right, so the script that was prepared for you this evening has it separated out so that you would take public comment on the consent agenda and then public comment on the public forum. And the public forum is just for items not on the agenda, so allows people to speak about things that aren't on the agenda, but for consent, we're taking public comment on the consent items, so it's very specific.
Okay, I don't think I have that on my script. Yeah, just make it really.
It's right here. I think public comment on these items. Oh, no, it doesn't say that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it says any.
so I've already asked if somebody wants to pull stuff. We know what needs to be pulled. So before we actually make a motion, we take the public comment on the consent.
Yes, on
Okay.
the consent.
So is there anyone who would like to specifically address any items on the consent calendar? That would be item 8. And those items are 8A, waive reading of resolutions and ordinances. 8B, approve minutes of the January 20th, 2026 special meeting. Item 8C, approve minutes of the January 20th, 2026 regular meeting. 8D, approve minutes of the January 29th, 2026 special meeting. Item 8E, approve certain past city council regular and special meeting minutes. Item 8F, approve agreement with the County of San Mateo for 9/11 dispatch services. Item 8G, approve amendment to retainer for legal services with Shoot Mahali and Weinberger LLP, effective January 1, 2026, for continuation of litigation services and transition services. Now, if you'd like to address any of those items, you can fill out a card and hand it to our person who's clerking tonight, and you can go to the dais, or excuse me, go to the podium and comment. You can also comment online by raising your hand. Seeing no one in the audience and no hands raised online, We will move on to entertaining a motion for those items that I've read, minus 8E and 8F.
Yes, I move that we waive reading of resolutions and ordinances that we have.
Let me make a recommendation. Just give the item numbers.
Since you've already read them out. Okay. I move that we accept 8A, 8B, 8C, 8D, and 8G.
Second.
Could I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Nagengast? I'm sorry.
Councilmember Nagengast says yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Brownstone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Penrose?
Yes.
And Mayor Ruddick?
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, so we are going to do item 8E, and Councilmember Nagengast, and I believe Councilmember Johnson will need to abstain because they were not on the council at that time. So I'll ask, all in favor say aye of item 8E. Aye.
Aye.
Any oppose? Any abstain?
I did.
Okay, so we have 2 abstentions there. All right, so now we're moving on to item 8F, which is approve agreement with the County of San Mateo for dispatch services. So I guess we'll need a staff report on that.
Yeah, and the reason why I pull it's a big number, and I just want the community to know that this is separate than the law enforcement sheriff contract. Even though it says the sheriff contract's a big number, this is not what you see the day-to-day police service. This is what you see behind the scenes. So I just, when I read the report, 2022, 2023, somewhere around there is where there was an analysis done and the counties requested a full cost recovery and the numbers jumped. I don't know how much they jumped by, but it sounded like it was significant. And a $4 million for 5 years, you know, I don't have that, 4.3 million, 5 years is a big number, but we still have the sheriff's law enforcement contract that we're still going to, I guess, quote unquote, negotiate, but that's still coming forward, and I just want to make it clear, this is totally separate from that, and what's provided is essentially, this is your 911 calls. So this is something that the community, we need this, and we've been, since, even with the price increases, it sounds it's been reasonable. It provides the service that's necessary for the community, and we anticipated this in our budget. This is not a new item in the budget.
And I think it's important to point out that these services are delivered 24/7.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know, just a little bit of history. When we had our own police department, we actually had our own dispatch services here on the coast as well. And part of the reason the city went away from that, both of those services being in-house, was the cost to deliver those services. And we do a pretty regular analysis of what it would cost to bring these services in-house if that was something we want to consider in the future. And in both cases, we believe we derive considerable economies of scale and cost savings by working with the county and receiving their services. And in this case, just talking about dispatch, we believe, and as does the sheriff, that we receive really great services from the county. And although the rates went up significantly a few years ago, it is the cost of doing business. And as we can see, by only a 2% increase over last fiscal year, they are doing everything they can to keep costs low and affordable as possible for us. So I appreciate having this item pulled and having that conversation, and anticipated that might happen. And hopefully the community recognizes the value here as well.
I think so. I know that when I want to call, I want somebody on the other end of the line for sure. Day or night. Thank you for that. So, but let's take a roll call on that because of the size of the expenditures.
Can we just call it 8F?
Well, I think we have to do public comment on this as well.
Yes, we
Because
do.
it's a separate item.
So anyone who would like to address item 8F, which is the agreement with the county for 9/11 dispatch services, you can come to the podium and then fill out a card for that. That's item 8F. Or if you'd like to address it, folks online, you can raise your hand. I don't see any raised hands online and no one coming forward. So I think we can move to a roll call vote.
Do you have a motion?
We need a motion.
Oh, yeah, we need a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve and approve the agreement with the County of San Mateo for 911 dispatch services for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030, at a total of $4,312,564.
Second.
Okay.
Council member, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We already did 8E.
I didn't get him. I didn't recall a motion for that one, but, okay.
Yeah, that was the,
Okay.
That was the two abstentions.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It was the minutes. Sorry. I just didn't know it was a motion. I got the vote. Okay, roll call is Councilmember Negengast,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownstone,
yes.
Vice Mayor Penrose.
Yes.
And Mayor Reddick.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. So we're moving on to item 9, which is ordinances and public hearings, and we have no ordinances or public hearings this evening. Item 10, resolutions and staff reports. The next item is item 10A, the Architectural Advisory Committee appointments.
Madam Mayor, the item before you tonight is simply to reappoint the 3 existing members of our Architectural Advisory Committee. As you know, this committee is advisory to our Planning Commission, and they're all professionals in the field of architecture and provide a really, really valuable service to the community by looking at projects that are being proposed and evaluating them based on standards here in the community, and really working with applicants to hone in their projects to make them fit the character and the balance of the community here. And I think that really benefits us as we get to the public hearings for the Planning Commission for permitting, because that piece of it has really been addressed well and through a really thoughtful eye. So we're really, really grateful for the 3 members that have served for many years, and we simply just need to re-up their appointments. So with that, unless there's any questions, we'd love to do public comment and then move forward with a motion.
Are there any clarifying questions from council members? Okay. I don't have any speaker slips, but if anyone would like to address the Architectural Advisory Committee appointments, you can come to the podium, fill out a form, and then raise your hand if you're online. I see no one online raising their hand, and no one coming forward from the audience. So we'll bring it back for comments from council members. Motion in a second.
They've done a great job.
I can make a motion.
And Madam Mayor, if I could just remind the council, there are 3 seats, but there are different terms to the different seats.
Right.
So there is a 4-year for the architect seat, there is a 4-year for the at-large seat, and there is a 2-year term for the landscape architect. So the motion should include the name of the appointee and the seat that you're suggesting that they fill.
So you want to distinguish between the 4-year term and the 2-year term. So I can take a stab. Sorry?
Who's the 2-year term?
The 2-year term is Steve Kikuchi.
Okay.
And the at-large is who?
I believe Chad Hooker's
He's the at-large?
yeah, he is. He's the at-large, I believe. Steve Kikuchi is the landscape architect, and Linda Poncini is the architect.
Okay, so I move that we approve appointments to the Architectural Advisory Committee as follows. Linda Poncini and Chad Hooker for the 4-year terms.
Correct.
And Steve Kikuchi for the 2-year term.
Correct.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Glad you're still going to be around. Thank you.
Thank you.
You do good work. All right. Item 10B, discussion on extending health benefits eligibility to elected officials. So we will hear a presentation, and then the council can ask clarifying questions.
All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and members of the public. So today I'm going to be presenting on the topic of possibly extending health benefits to elected officials. A little background on this subject. So the city currently offers health benefits for our full-time employees. The main provider is CalPERS. They do our retirement, but they also do our health benefits. Currently, council members are not eligible for this, but recently in the past few months, council has expressed an interest in what it could look like extending it to elected officials. So tonight, I'm here to share what staff has learned about it and to highlight some of the policy points for council to discuss over. The main two policy points that I'm coming to you for direction on is, one, how would benefits be provided? Will we be working with, if council were to go this route, would it be using our existing provider or a separate plan? And then additionally, how will those costs be shared between the city and between any enrollees? So addressing the first question, there's generally two pathways to look at this. So as I mentioned, our existing provider is CalPERS, and we could extend this to electeds. This is probably the easiest to do administratively. CalPERS already provides this to council members in other jurisdictions. Additionally, CalPERS is a statewide program for a lot of different jurisdictions, a bigger risk pool. They offer a lot of different plans, HMO and PPO plans. I will share, when staff looked around at other agencies we're doing, CalPERS being the provider was the consensus. There's more things to think about when it comes to cost sharing, but as far as who's providing the benefits, CalPERS seemed to be a common one. Alternatively, the city could explore a separate health plan, one that is just for elected officials. The downside is that it would add a layer of complexity. Theoretically, you would have the employees with their own group plan and then the electeds with their separate. That's just another layer of complexity. And additionally, potentially could have different coverage levels when you get into deductibles and what's covered, what's not. It can get sticky pretty fast. So thinking that in mind, staff has not retained quotes on this. If council directed for our staff to go out to do such, we could. One thing that stopped us initially from going out is that because the group plan would be 5 members, there's a high likelihood that the rates are going to be high and lower flexibility. Thus, at this moment, it's not recommended, but the option still remains. Another thing to think about as far as structure is whether or not to include dental and vision. The city could also provide that to electeds. This is a bit of an easier thing for us to do. Our current provider is MetLife. But again, kind of the same thoughts. Should we stick with the current provider or should we look and see what else is out there? Moving on to cost, here I have the health plan rates if the city were to go with CalPERS, and these rates are the same that are offered to employees, so it's equitable as far as the rates. By law, the city would have to contribute a minimum amount. It's currently $162 a month, and the city has the option to contribute more if council were to decide that. But really, it's more of a policy call from here. The minimum is 162, and anything else is a policy call. After the city contributes, any amount that's left that is owed would be deducted during the payroll process. Now, for employees, there's always enough to cover what's left to cover the rate. But for officials, the stipend is only about $1,000. So there's a chance that even after the city's contribution and then the payroll deduction, there is a chance that the city would have to bill the enrollee, and they would have to pay the city. When staff looked around at other agencies, the strategies differed greatly. Some agencies, they paid full cost, the rate plans. Some did a fixed amount. Some did a percentage. For example, 90% of the city pays, 10% of the enrollee. All is an option for council, of course, but I think the more the viable options are either the minimum or a fixed amount. That's because our employees received a fixed amount. Between the two, I professionally would recommend the legal minimum at this time. The reason being is that we're starting to begin contract negotiations, so there's going to be discussions about the broader benefit plans organizational-wide, so it might be a little too early to piece out electeds. But of course, that is a council decision. On the dental vision side is a bit more straightforward. These are our current rates. This may change when we flesh out adding what it does to add to electeds. Currently, the city pays 100% of cost for dental and vision to our full-time employees. Council we could extend that to our elected officials. But ultimately, the same question arises, how much should the city pay versus how much should the enrollee? Again, some of the direction that I'm looking to hear from council tonight is, should the city extend medical benefits, and if so, CalPERS or someone else? And two, how much should the city contribute? More than a minimum, and if so, how much? With that, I would take your questions or feedback.
Council members with questions.
Can I put a clarifier
Sure.
there? Because it's good to see and I'm going to speak for myself, because I don't want to, where this is going, I don't want to assume anything. But the CalPERS also has breakdown if you have Medicare. So when you buy a rate, and I didn't see it on there on that example, because I use CalPERS, and I have a Medicare. They have a separate column if you're on Medicare, probably, or through CalPERS, what you pay, and then it's a whole there's different numbers on that. And then whether you have a family member 1 or 2, either on Medicare 2 or not. So I have a complicated family, and we cover 3 different pieces in there. So there's much more to that CalPERS chart he was showing than just the basic. He was showing the basic plan, those costs, but there are no, those weren't included in there. It's still a cost. Yeah, no, it's still a cost. It's not as much because you have to pay some of that Medicare. You do that through. I've learned through the feds, covering your Medicare. Yep.
Council members, clarifying questions, comments, then we can go to the public if you're not ready.
So, Ken, you could actually break it up, like, into different categories, just medical, and then vision, and then dental. You don't have to do it like the whole thing.
That's correct. Looking at other agencies, they did medical and dental and vision, but you can break it up.
The minimum, the buy-in then would be for just talking the medical would be 162, would be what the city would pay. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the legal minimum.
Was there any numbers that we could get considering the stipend and then versus like basically not receiving a stipend and putting the stipend towards a medical reimbursement versus being, paid?
So unfortunately, it's all over the map when we look at agencies because their benefit plans are just different. I will share kind of a framework or a fencing in that a city contribution extending that's more than the stipend is a little awkward because then it's no longer a benefit. It could be seen as compensation. It's still doable, but it's a thing to consider. Then, of course, the harder limit would be if it's more than what our employees receive.
So let's just say the 162, because that's just your buy-in just to get in, right? Is that how I read that, the 162? Or
yeah, the city's
right
minimum, yeah.
And then the person that would want to get the medical would pay the difference between it, but they were able to buy the medical. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And do we have the table that you showed us would be example table? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, these are the rates for 2026.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? I don't have any speaker slips on this item, but if there's anyone who would like to comment or ask questions in the public, you can come to the podium or raise your hand online. I see no hands raised online, and apparently no one in the audience has comments or questions. So I'll bring it back to council. I will say that I think our finance director had a good point in that we're about to enter negotiations in the labor MOU, and we'll be talking about employees' compensation, including base salaries and benefits. And given the cost of benefits these days, conceivably, the discussion on benefits could be quite profound because people are everywhere swimming in medical debt, and the costs, as you can see, are very high. So I think it's good that we have a discussion, but I personally would recommend that we postpone any direction until we conclude negotiations on the MOU, or at least deep into them and have a draft MOU for everyone's consideration. I'll leave it there. Please.
Ken, I just want to clarify a question. So if someone just wanted the dental and the vision, which would only be less than, I don't know, $80 or something a month, right? So either they could pay for that or the city could pay out of that minimum. Is that right? If that's what we elected to do, that as an option.
Yeah, the council could decide to piece off just dental and vision, and either the city pays 0 or the city pays 100%. It's a council policy decision.
I just bring that up because I know Medicare doesn't cover some of that stuff, right? Especially dental. So if someone just wanted that piece, that would be great. That's pretty cheap. Okay. Great. So we'll wait and figure out, give it some time. Thank you, Ken.
like we're going to defer on this one for the time being?
Yeah, I think, Councilmember Nagangas raised a point that we definitely want to research related to Medicare and any impacts that could have on this, and we can bring that back when we circle back. And we'll continue to do research. Our city attorney represents other cities that offer this benefit, and so we'll continue to look into it and understand it better. And certainly it'll be in our minds as we go through labor negotiations, because it could impact where we ultimately land on this. But I think the most important thing we've discovered is that it is something we can easily do. From a, logistically, it can happen. And really the question is it something the council wants to move forward with, and at what degree? But from a staff standpoint, this is something that could easily be incorporated in the future.
I think it would be helpful to have a comparison of what other cities are doing, so that we can see is it big cities, what kind of cities are able to accomplish this.
Sure, and show the actual rates that they're
Yeah.
paying towards, yeah.
Yeah, we actually had that information many years ago, and it showed which cities offer the stipend, which offer stipend and insurance, which ones offer just insurance, the various rates. I think that would be helpful to understand. And my understanding is we're actually getting comparison information for the purposes of the MOU on some things. So maybe we just throw that in there.
If we do that, let's include what the council members in these cities are being paid, what their actual salary is as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's important for us to be responsible, in our decision-making here. So I think the more information we have, the more accountable decisions we can make. So I would agree with that.
Great. So I would expect us to return with an update, hopefully, by late spring. Before we get to budget hearings and all that, we should be far enough along in our labor negotiations to kind of know where that's probably headed and start talking about this again. So.
And it seemed that council wanted to jump in here. I thought I detected. Okay. Okay. Trying to pay attention there. Thank you for that. Okay. So the next item is item 10C, which is approve agreement with Matrix Consulting Group to conduct an organizational and staffing assessment.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will make a brief presentation on this item. And we have the founder of Matrix Consulting, who happens to be a Coastside resident, which is a pretty cool connection. Mm-hmm. He's on the line here and available for questions as well. Let's see if I can use this clicker to... Yep, it's working. Great. So just a little bit of background. As we all know, since 2023, the city has been grappling with a structural deficit, and I'll just explain what that is. A structural deficit is when your ongoing revenues are less than your ongoing expenses. So you don't include big projects or one-time, charges or one-time revenue sources. We're really just talking about our tax revenue and then what it costs us to provide our services to the community. And so we've really worked hard over the last couple of years and continue to work hard to address that deficit to get the city into a sustainable place. And through the wisdom of my predecessor and the work with the council, we have really, really strong reserves, and those reserves have been utilized to kind of carry us through. We have cut some programs and some services, but I think for the most part, the community hasn't really felt a lot of pain from this path that we've been going down. Of course, our voters in November of 2024 approved a 0.5-cent sales tax increase, which is really, really helpful to the city in managing our finances going forward. And, as we heard from San Francisco Peninsula and our chamber, a lot of effort goes into supporting our number one industry, which is tourism. Tourism drives our transient occupancy tax, it drives our sales tax, and those have struggled since, during and since the pandemic, but they've been coming back, and we've had a lot of positivity the last couple of years. And we'll be doing our mid-year budget in March, and we're excited to share, improvements that we've had in our addressing of the deficit and, our financial position. That being said, one of the strategies that we employed over the last couple of years is we've held some really important vacancies open as high-level positions have been vacated here in the city. Rather than just going back and filling them, staff has really kind of girded up their loins and worked really hard to fill those gaps while we evaluate the future of the city. And one of the things that we thought would be important is to really look at our organization and how we're staffed and how we're structured to make sure that we're really in a sustainable position for the future. And so last year, the council created an ad hoc committee, which includes Councilmember Nagengast and Councilmember Brownstone. And we've met many, many times over the last several months to talk about how we address those issues. And at the same time, the council directed us to explore an outside consultant that could give us kind of that arm's length expert view on tactics we could employ to improve our structure and into the future. So we did a request for qualifications last year. We had some good response, a variety of costs ranging from about $20,000, which probably wasn't going to be feasible for the scope that we really needed, up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Working with this ad hoc committee and these consultants, we've landed on Matrix Consulting as our preferred firm, and worked on revising that scope and those costs to what we have presented here tonight. So as I shared, Matrix Consulting is a preferred consultant. They're a very large consulting firm that serves cities of all sizes across the country in similar endeavors that we're pursuing right now, but with a really great local connection that the founder of the company lives here on the coast and will be our primary project manager working with us day to day on this project if we move it forward, which is really exciting. One of the things they've done is they've really worked with us on the scope to fit a timeline that allows us to obtain recommendations that could actually be incorporated into the next fiscal year budget, which will allow us to move forward on making changes and filling positions. And as I've shared before, we're very, very understaffed right now. We're at a 30% vacancy rate, which is significant. And staff are definitely feeling the burn, but I really want to recognize them and appreciate them because that's a lot to carry, but they've done it willingly and with positivity and hope for the future. And I think the community has seen that and appreciates that, and the council appreciates it, and I appreciate it. So under the scope, we're looking at two phases. The first is really kind of getting a lay of the land, what our current situation is, interviews with staff and talking with the council, and looking at best practices for an organization of our size and the services that we need to provide. One of the things we've talked about is core services, and that would be part of that analysis. Phase two would be really looking then at how do we adjust the workload, staffing, and organization, and making recommendations. And through our work with them, they've revised the budget to a $66,000 budget, which is, we think, a fair and reasonable amount to do this work in this amount of time. And so that's why we're recommending moving forward with this at this time. The ad hoc committee did have an opportunity to meet with the leadership of Matrix Consulting and ask some questions and provide some feedback that resulted in this revised scope. And I did want to give them an opportunity to share any specifics that they gleaned from those meetings and discussions previously.
Does that conclude your
That concludes my
presentation?
presentation and the recommendations on the board.
Yeah, so does anybody have any clarifying questions, first of all, for the subcommittee or staff? The subcommittee was council members Brownstone and Nagin-Gast, and they worked very diligently on this, so questions can be directed to them as well. Seeing none, I have no speaker slips. Are there any folks in the audience or online who would like to comment or ask questions about item 10C, which we just had a presentation about? I see no hands raised online and nobody in the audience. So I'll bring it back to the council and maybe ask the subcommittee first to just weigh in a little bit and what you considered and how you arrived at your recommendation.
Just a couple of things to add. The city has actually worked with Matrix in the past, so they're experienced with us. Mayor Ruddock actually had a lot of good references and recommendations about their work and had suggested that we originally, and so it was great that they applied. Our interactions with them was great. Richard Brady being right here, and they have an enormous amount of expertise because it is pretty complicated being one of the few cities totally in the coastal zone in California, and having that expertise and how that impacts our ability, to get the work done, having the right people, the right experience. It's not simple. And I think that where we do want to have some recommendations for doing things differently, that this will be a great firm to work with. So, I feel really fortunate actually to have them working on this.
Yeah, thank you. And it's important, and I want, I think staff, this is a tool to help the city manager so he can, do the priorities we're expecting him to do. And that's why it was great working with the Matrix. And I don't know if Richard wants to say something tonight too, but it was, I felt comfortable being able to work with them and focus on what actually our needs are, not just here's a broad brush of your whole city. And we know there's certain areas we want to be more focused on, and that's what this assessment will do. So, and again, it's, I think it's a positive for us, especially at this time, to make sure we're moving forward, with, like Matthew said, the staff is doing a great job just holding us afloat. I kind of see the ship is right, and how do we keep sailing it, continue to sail. So, yeah, I'm happy what was submitted, and I'm comfortable with Matrix.
Johnson or the Vice Mayor, do you have any questions or comments you'd like to make?
I would just like to say that a shout out to staff. They've been patient, they've been hardworking, and this is being done as much for them as it is for the city manager. It's all about they're taking responsibility and grabbing the reins and going for it, despite the fact that they have to do much more than they should be doing, or that they're doing different jobs than they should be doing, and job sharing. So shout out to staff, and thank you for being so patient and staying with us, and just let us get through this, and things are going to get better.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Johnson?
I was really pleased when I read this report, Richard Brady, which apparently lives local, right? And I saw that in there, and I'm looking at their relevant clients on each one of their items. And then Aaron Baggerly, I guess his name is, identified technology improvements to streamlining customers' portal, internal workflows and roles to permit review process, which is one of the issues that people are bringing forward. And then Allison's talking here, her expertise, strategic planning, capital plan updates, budget workshop, long-range planning efforts for environmental protection, which is all what we need. And Chaz Jordan, Parks and Recreation Operations, Staffing, Maintenance, and Programming Analysis. So all these people are bringing forward things here. And then Amy Sue, administrated all city operations, including budgeting, development, engineering, finance, justice, courts, planning, police, public works, recreation, alignment with directors of mayors and city councils. Every one of these people in this group here is bringing something forward that we need. So I'm totally excited when I read this.
One of the things I liked about this process was I think it showed that we can have a council subcommittee working with staff in a very effective way, taking on the work of doing the research and thinking through alternatives and discussing, impacts. I think it showed the subcommittee approach can be, successful. So I think all three of you, city manager, Councilmember Nagacast, and Brownstone, did an excellent job. It was diligent, it was thoughtful. They didn't rush into anything. I think the budget is appropriate for the scope, and I think it's a generous scope for the money, actually. So I'm happy with the outcome. And one of the things I really like about it is that it engages staff in the process. There's a very heavy staff participation component, and that's because part of this process is like, kind of reinventing the workplace a little bit, right? It's a chance to see what's not working so well and to think about what would work better for you as employees. So I wouldn't be fearful of this process. I'd embrace it and say, how can I make this process work better for me and for us, right? So it's a team effort, and I like that a lot. So I think we've landed in a good place. And I'd like to ask Richard Brady, I see that he's online, if he would like to introduce himself and comment. Mr. Brady, we'd like to hear from you if you want to.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here this evening. We're really looking forward to working with you again. Among the 2,000 communities we've worked with around the country, about half of them in California, including many of them coastal communities, as you mentioned earlier, but including Half Moon Bay. We worked with you 12 years ago in a study that was at a very important time for you then, because you were coming out of the Great Recession. There were a lot of unmet needs. And I think this phasing of the project will work well for you because it'll allow us to focus on priority items for the city and to focus on not just staffing, as important as it is, but also transparency, business processes, proactivity, online services and things like that. So lots of things that will benefit staff in terms of managing their workload, but also have an impact on the community expectations of service delivery. So we're really looking forward to working with you in a large number of ways.
We're excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the recommendation would be to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Matrix Consulting Group to conduct an organizational and staffing assessment for a term ending no later than June 30, 2026, at a cost not to exceed $66,500.
Second. Did you make a motion?
I was setting up a motion, but I can count that as a motion, and you made a second? Okay. So could I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Nagengast?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Brownstone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Penrose?
Yes.
And Mayor Ruddick?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, the next item is commission and committee updates. Are there any department heads who have updates?
Unless Leslie is feeling compelled, I can just share, we did have a planning commission meeting last week, and there was one important item, and it was approved. It's a project on Christmas Street downtown, a mixed-use project, which will, we think, benefit the downtown with additional commercial space and residential space. We also had a rec commission meeting this past week, where they selected a new chair and vice chair. The chair for this year will be Hillary Stamper, who's been on the commission for many, many years. And our vice chair will be Tito Hernandez, who's been on the commission for a couple of years and has been a really, really great addition. So we're excited for his first turn having a leadership role with the commission. And I'll just share the addition of youth commissioners has been really, really beneficial, really, really positive. They provide great feedback. The only thing that we're upset about is they're both seniors that are graduating this year, so we're going to lose them. So there will be a process in the next couple of months to find 2 new great youth to participate in that commission and support it. The other thing the commission did is talk about priorities for the next year, and they're very much in line with work we're doing. So I'm very excited to finalize those and keep the work moving forward.
Great. Yes, the kids grow up so fast, don't they? It's just oh, dear. Okay. So the next item. Well, I guess I should probably ask if there's any public comment on this item. Okay. All right. Items of business. Great. So item 12, future discussion, possible agenda items. Does anybody have one? I have one that I'll talk about, but.
I was thinking, I think Matthew already brought it up about the license plate reader. So, but it looks like it's already it's going to be brought forward to us. So.
Yeah, I think a discussion on e-bikes, I think we should probably be waiting a little while because the county's working on it, the state's working on it. But I want to keep it at the front of our radar so that we can jump on it as soon as we get as much information from the state and the county as we can.
Priority setting is coming, March 14. Yeah, and a lot of there's a lot of churn out there over this subject, right? It seems like all kinds of groups and legislators are working on stuff. We're going to get snowed like we did on housing, by all kinds of stuff. So what I would like to ask be put on a future agenda is a discussion about how staff might respond in the event of ICE coming to City Hall, whether it's, to be in the public space or to be in the non-public spaces, is it talk to staff, looking for data. I think it's important to have at least policies that the city manager and staff can use. I think my understanding after talking to the city attorney is that such policies can be developed and adopted between the city attorney and the city manager. But I think we also want to have a public discussion about that, about what that might, look like, and then, get out of the way. But I think it's good to surface the issue so that the public knows, that we're attending to this very important matter. And we've been living in a bubble so far, but who knows if that could change overnight. So the city attorney's been very helpful. She's provided policies for other cities on the peninsula. And I'd like to, I'm okay on the timing of that. I think staff might like to have something sooner rather than later, but I'll let you figure out when that, should come forward. But I think it's something important to work on. Do I have cooperation from another council member?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I can't believe we have to have a policy for that. Yep.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree.
Yes. And then city council reports. That's things that we might want to report out from our participation on, regional committees or boards, or Sewer Authority. And I know that Councilmember Nagagas attended the Council of Cities dinner, which was actually the League of Cities legislative event where they talked with legislators about what's coming up in the next legislative session. So I'll ask Councilmember Nagagas to give a little report on that.
So I have a couple of items. I've been busy since the last meeting. The first one, I'm on the League of Cities Transportation, Communications, and Public Works Policy Committee. And we went through a couple of what our agenda is going to be. We're going to meet throughout the year, and we work on policy that League staff brings to us for potential to adopt the laws to our representatives that might be working on a particular item. Two big items were e-bikes. As every community in the state of California is having to grapple with that. That is something we're going to grapple, and I am also on a subcommittee of this committee because of the uniqueness of Half Moon Bay. You look at the coastal trail, we go from land trust property, city property, state parks property, and county. And you're going to have different, so it's funny, Vice Mayor Penrose, you asked about knowing about e-bikes. I'm going to be able to provide information back and forth on this. Our next meeting's in March, so there's a lot of work on that. And the other item that's big in the state right now, and I didn't know Caltrans has actually been a lead on this, is to figure out a road charge program to change the way we get monies to cities to fix roads. Right now we use gas tax, which unfortunately that's never enough money. But now that cars have become better gas mileage and electric, the monies have really, it's very noticeable. And so the state has taken the lead to figure out how do we do it by mileage. It would be a use tax, which probably makes more sense. You know, that if you're using a road, whether you even use gas or not, you're using a road, and how do you pay for that? So that's something that I'll have updates on that this year, too. And that was on January 22nd, and then on January 30th, what Mayor Ruddick was talking about, the county of San Mateo and the county of Santa Clara are part of the Peninsula Division of the League of Cities, a very powerful group, if you think about our two counties. And they're actually very effective working with our legislatures. Ours is Berman, the Assemblyman, and Senator Becker, but also Santa Clara's, Papin, Aarons, and Aisha, Wahab, yes. And they just brought forward some housing items and talked about rent stabilization, some things that Sacramento is actually looking to use this word cautiously, improve upon. Some of the laws that have been past laws that were approved, but finding a lot of cities might have some issues with it or it doesn't fit that particular city. So they're trying to, granted it's more of a broad brush approach, but trying to fine tune some of these laws that currently are on the books, but maybe doesn't work. Sam Licardo showed up, busy guy. He had like 5 minutes, but he can take a conversation a long ways, you know. But he's talking about the troubles and challenges that they have. I shouldn't say troubles, challenges in Washington. It's very difficult to get anything there done. And fortunately, it looks like at the time when he spoke, it wasn't sure if there was going to be a shutdown or not, but looks like they're going to avert the shutdown this time around. But still, you know, he's very busy. He'll say, you know, if there's something, he wants to be accessible. They have that office here locally, so that's something we should always keep in mind if there's something we want to need. So I wanted to learn how the sausage was made. I hate using that statement, but I guess I did, and maybe I get to help be part of that sausage now, getting on some of these committees, which I think is great, and I want to represent Half Moon Bay, and that's something, because I I think it's important. We're unique in so many different ways. I've heard probably 5 or 6 different ways showing our uniqueness, but also just trying to deal with, e-bikes. I mean, I was just thinking about the Coastal Trail, how so many different agencies there, and we all have probably different ideas on how to do or not do something. So I hope to bring some very positive updates to our council and the community this year.
Thank you for your hard work and your engagement in regional issues. Sure, Councilmember Brownstone.
If the conversations you're having there about e-bikes, I would love to know how it came by historically, that somehow the state decided to adopt legislation saying that basically overturning all local control of e-bikes. Because remember, this council approved some controls of basically no e-bikes, at least on the parts of the trails we control. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like the state decided to take 100% away any local control. I imagine there must have been some lobbying going on there, and would love to get a little bit, if you could find out what that might look like.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Any reports?
Nothing right now. I had some really good ones, but I could share one real quick. I think I brought it forward. Did I bring the drone dropping that we're going to be talking about airspace?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, we already talked about that. And it's going to be this week. I got to do another meeting, but I thought that was the most important, or actually exciting. Other than that, I don't have anything really exciting. Mine are, PCE is going to be here for a meeting for battery backups. They're going to have a little seminar here. I think they're going to reach out. They're going to do it at the Senior Center. And Matthew, you probably might know about it. I don't have the dates, but it's next month or the following. And they were talking about having it at the Senior Center, but I said, that's a little small, and they wouldn't be able to do it via Zoom, and a lot of people want to be involved that were on the board. And then Ray Mueller happened to be, he's now in PCE also now, so it's kind of cool. Jackie left, he came in. And he brought up the same thing, too, because he said, we have a lot of problems here. There's going to be a lot of people at that meeting. So I think, Matthew, you're probably going to get the dates. I'm not putting you on the spot here, but it's going to be coming around the corner. And they weren't really anticipating it to be that, like, going to pack the house. I think it will. So look for that. So that's going to be something I'm going to make sure that I post on Facebook and all that stuff. It's going to be very supportive for Kenyatta Cove, Ocean Colony, and I keep pushing Kenyatta Cove, their power outs, and I keep pushing, because they already know everything there on the north end, but on the south end of town, we constantly have our power outs, and we already have that microgrid system that we're going to get in 10 years' time if that gets approved, which is the Ted Adcock Center and all this, but they're still pushing hard, so PCE is doing really well with this. A neighbor, or Tom Roman, planning commissioner, I went by his house. He just had solar, and he's now retired. And a certain income that he's at right now qualified for solar and battery backup with no out-of-pocket expense, $66,000 worth of stuff put on his house. And I didn't talk to him personally, but his wife I talked to. And I thought that was pretty cool. And that's all through PCE. So look for the rebates that are coming through. You'd be surprised, depending on where you're at in your status and working or retired, that you can qualify for this. And the battery thing is the new thing now. That's the big wave now, to have solar with battery. So that's the only thing I can report, if that's anything good.
So as relates to the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side, we had originally decided to go back to just one meeting a month, but that was stymied by the fact that we're entering budget season. And the SAM budget really starts up, in March. So at least until the new fiscal year, we'll continue to have 2 meetings a month. And our city engineer, Dale Lita, and I were interviewed by California League of Cities for one of their publications on e-bikes. So they they heard and saw both of us and the vice mayor actually on this League of Cities roundtable about e-bikes a couple of weeks ago. And so we've been interviewed about the Half Moon Bay experience and Dale's extensive knowledge about e-bikes and the industry, which was really helpful for them. They really liked that. So that'll be coming out. As for One Shoreline, so One Shoreline has been working the last year with Congressman Liccardo on getting a federal budget appropriation to the Army Corps to do what they call a New Start study, which is the Army Corps of Engineer comes in and does a relatively inexpensive study, about $50,000, to determine if there's a federal interest in providing more money, specifically to protect the SAM plant from flooding and sea level rise. So the Trump signed off on that appropriations bill. So we'll be meeting with the Corps at some point this spring. And then Congressman Liccardo also managed to get in an appropriation bill money for a project that CCAG was promoting to do battery backups and some signalization tweaks on Highway 1 traffic signals for the purpose of speeding up evacuations as they occur. That's quite a bit of engineering involved. And the money would also cover a fairly exhaustive study on how to respond to these things as well. This isn't core money. This is going to be, I think, directly to CCAG. We'll have that money and they'll administer it. But I don't know how this partial shutdown and ending the partial shutdown, I don't know how it affects those. There's multiple appropriations bills, so they need to get out of the Senate and they have to go to Trump and Trump has to sign them. So this improvement to our emergency evacuation system, I think is still held up, but I'm guessing headed to Trump's desk. So that may skate through. So Congressman Liccardo has been working very hard for the co-side, and it's gonna pay off in a very difficult environment.
Madam Mayor, could I add to that?
Sure.
Kind of hot off the presses, we were notified this evening from Townsend Consulting, who does our lobbying work and works on grants at the state and federal level. For a couple of years, we've had out there an earmark request for $250,000 to go towards the development and the design of the East Side Parallel Trail Segment 2, which would run from South Main Street to Miramontes Point Road on the east side of the highway, and that was signed today. So,
that's great news.
You know, what's cool about that is we now have funding at some level and work starting at some level on every segment that will connect from Miramontes Point Road to the section that the county finished at the city limits in Miramar. So, you know, the dream is to have connecting trails north and south up and down the entire coast on both sides of the highway. And there's a path to the east side being completed in the city of Half Moon Bay. And that's, I think, a tribute to, you know, when we're consistent, that's been a priority for a very long time. And we've just kept hammering away. And ultimately, in this case, Congressman Liccardo pushed to make sure this was included this year so that we could start moving on planning for that as well.
He's been very effective working across the aisle, because that's what you have to do to get into these appropriations bills, right? So bless his heart. You know, and he comes back looking arrested and energetic. I don't know how he does it in that environment. And then the last thing on One Shoreline is that I was fortunate to be reelected as chair of One Shoreline for the coming year. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good organization and great fun. So, and that's all I have tonight.